Hello, BookTube. I'm Peg. Happy New Year. Since I think this is my first video of the year, I think I can still say Happy New Year. I'm going to put in my thumbnail the traditional picture that I have taken every New Year's Eve when I get home from my party early. I don't go to late parties. And I have a New Year's hat that I place on my cat's head and try to take a picture of her with the hat on. And she didn't like the hat any better this year than she did last year, but at least you'll get to see the cat. Okay, as soon as I finish uploading this video today, I'm going to be taking off to a different habitat for a couple of months at least, where it's warmer, and I'm not sure how regular I'm going to be with my video recordings. I have a lot of book plans, but we'll see. You can bet if some big prizes come out, which will be later in the spring, I'll be back talking about those. But anyway, so if you want to find me and I'm not there, don't worry, I'm okay. I'm going to be doing a lot more on Goodreads. First of all, I'm going to try to record everything I read on Goodreads and write a little review on it for the first time. We'll see if I can stick to that. And I'm also planning to be active on the new Goodreads forum that Mel and Victoria have made for their challenge of reading through the ages. And it's already great. They've got so many great suggestions, and I'm really interested in that and reading for that. So as soon as I start reading a few, I'm going to be active on that, and you can find me there and follow me if you want to know what I'm reading. And I'd like to know some of you all too out there. Okay, without further ado, let's get to the COSTA Prize. I am so surprised nobody has really talked about the COSTA Prize this year. It seemed like last year it was a real biggie, and Simon Savage, the booktuber, was a judge for the first novel category. I don't know if maybe that caused it to be more popular, but I really haven't heard anybody else talking about it. I'm going to be doing the first novel category in just a minute here, but you maybe want to look at the best novel and the best, I think there's a children's section and a nonfiction section, anyway, and a poetry section. Oh, I did hear from Eric Carl Anderson, and he's reading all the best novel contestants, finalists, so hopefully he'll have something to say about that. And he also has selected the poetry that he likes, so I'd love to hear a report on poetry, Eric. Okay, let's get on with the little bit of a history of the COSTA Prize. It was first awarded in 1971, and it was then called the Whitbread Award. It was taken over or sponsored by Costa Coffee. How apropos, right, for a book award to be with a coffee company. I bet they serve free coffee at their finalist thing. Okay, anyway, and so now it's called the COSTA Award, and it awards books that have high literary merit, and from authors that are writers that are from Britain and Ireland only, no Americans in it yet. Good. Okay. Anyway, it awards to those that they consider have high literary merit, but are also enjoyable reading, and novels which convey the enjoyment of reading to the widest possible audience. So by that you can tell it's perhaps a little more populist reading and still literary, but not as quite hard or difficult as, say, the Booker Prize, or especially like the Goldsmith Prize. But I really liked the ones I read in the first novel category. Okay, let me just tell you a little bit about the history of it. They had a huge controversy in 1989 when it was still the Whitbread Award, and they first awarded the best novel to a book called The War Zone. Now this, by Alex Stewart, it was kind of a modern Catcher in the Rye, but a little more graphic, and they had a huge uproar from some of the judges because it had an uncompromising but yet ironic portrayal of incense and adolescent fury, and told by an adolescent. So I have a feeling that it wasn't a book of its time. Maybe now it would be looked at differently. In fact, it became a movie and was reprinted in many different languages. And this is a 20th anniversary edition where there's some extra afterwards about the making of the film and why they thought it didn't make it to the prize, and some talk about that, how things have changed. Okay, I will say this is free if you have a Kindle Unlimited, so I actually plan to read it. Okay, the book it was replaced by was called The Chemical Wedding. And this, I've heard of this before, and this actually sounds really interesting too. It's all by Lindsay Clark, and it takes place in a secluded Norfolk village. There's two groups of people who investigate something called the Great Experiment of Nature, and it goes back several centuries and mixes with today. Sounds really interesting, and it's not on Kindle. I guess too old for that, but I'm going to check it out, see if I can't find it at the library. It was also had praise on it by Ted Hughes, who was Sylvia Plath's husband, and John Fowles, who was quite a literary writer in the 60s and back then. I guess he was still alive then. I don't think he's alive now. Okay, anyway, let's get on to the books that are up for the Best Novel Award. And I'm going to go from worst to best. There's 4 of them, and come out with what I think my favorite, you might say. Okay, first of all, now this may be a lot of people's favorite, and I can understand why. You probably heard a lot about this one, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Now, a funny thing is, I don't know if it's the English editions or the latest editions, it's become the 7.5 deaths instead of just 7 of Evelyn Hardcastle. At first, I wondered if that was a sequel or what, but it's the same book. And as you read it, you can understand why they probably changed it to 7.5. And this is a kind of a play on a 1950s type mystery story. It takes place in an English estate, but it has an added fantasy, I guess you would call it, in that it's a cross between Groundhog Day and Agatha Christie. Let's see. The main character is told from his point of view, and every day for 8 days, there's been a murder. There takes place a murder every night, the same person, same time. And every day he wakes up in a different body of one of the guests that are there, and we get the story from that person's side. And the trouble with, I don't know, just be my problem. Actually, there's a huge amount of characters. They even have a diagram of who stayed where in each story. I kind of got mixed up on all the characters, even writing them down. And to me, that says they weren't distinctive enough. And I have to say, this probably took the most work to do, and it does work out in the end. But I would say also probably wasn't the most enjoyable reading for me. Now, I'm willing to hear people that love it, and I can understand why some might. Anyway, okay, next, better, is what they call the Unremarkable Body. It's a terrible glare on that one, Unremarkable Body, and that's by Lisa Lodate. It deals with I don't even know, I shouldn't even hold it up, it's so bad. Okay, a young woman, Laura, who finds her mother dead at the bottom of the stairs for no apparent reason. She doesn't understand what happened. And she uses the interesting technique of the coroner's, the medical examiner's report of her body and the injuries, and of course, former injuries, to go into different things about her mother's life and find out some things about her mother's life that she didn't know. And it's quite intriguing. Actually, these last three, any of them could have been my favorite. They're kind of, in some ways, alike, but they're all good. And this would be definitely a 3.5 or 4 star for me. Oh yeah, I have to record them in Goodreads. I got to remember to do that. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, the next one. No, yeah. Okay. That it was between the top two, and this one actually failed, but it is my second favorite, called Meet Me at the Museum by Anne Youngson. I have to say, this is the first novel by an older woman, retired woman, and it's really well done. It's an epistolary novel. I think that's a word. It's made up of all letters. Now, when I first saw that, I'm thinking, oh no, another sentimental letters between people, and then they end up falling in love and happy ever after. And it really was a lot more complex than that. The woman was a farm wife in an isolated English farm, and she writes to this professor, Danish professor, at a museum, inquiring about the Tollen man. That's the person the man they from centuries ago they took out of the bogs there in I guess northern England, I'm not sure, or no, in Denmark. And it's at that museum, and she writes to him, it's a long story, and inquires about, if it's there and what. Anyway, they're both unhappy in their lives, you might say, and they begin writing letters, at first quite literary, and they're both interested in reading, and I think the letters were well done. It does turn into a personal relationship, sort of, but it wasn't too sentimental. I was afraid that was going to be too sweetie, sickening sentimental for me, and I didn't think it did. I thought it was complex enough. The other characters were well drawn in both of their lives. Now, I noticed Mel of Mel's Brooklyn Adventures wrote a review on it not too long ago. I guess I just looked, and she called it terrible. So I have a feeling it might have been a little too sentimental for Mel. I'd love to hear her viewpoint a little more about it. Okay, so we're down to my favorite to win. Oh, I didn't say, but this is going to be awarded January 7th, Monday night. Now, it's just going to be the award for each category, which is, to me, the most important one. And then later on, I think next month, they're going to have another award ceremony where they choose the best book of the COSTAs. And to me, that's comparing apples and oranges, and I'm not interested in, how they compare from poetry and nonfiction and fiction, and, but that is a big deal too. So anyway, my very favorite of these was called Pieces of Me, Terrible Glare Again. I read this on, actually, I think it was free. Was it the free one or the cheap one on Kindle? Anyway, and it really got to me. It involves a young woman from England, English woman, who is working as a civilian in Iraq in the war zone. They didn't realize they have people working there in offices, etc. And you learn some of the life there, her life there, and what they do. They actually are helping Iraqis to get an immigrant status. And anyway, she meets a young man American man in the Army. They fall in love, they get married. He gets assigned back to Colorado. And so most of this takes place in Colorado. And then he gets sent back to Iraq and leaves her in Colorado. That's most of the story. An English woman adjusting to life in Colorado, and she's just come from a war zone, so she probably has, some issues, or she does have some issues. And it's just so realistic to me, the thoughts of both the husband and the wife, and the friends she makes, and the life she sets up for herself. I just thought this was wonderful, and a very believable ending. So this is my favorite. We'll find out Monday night, 2 days. So hope you guys are reading it and watch what's going on. And I will see you when I see you on Goodreads for sure. Bye.